Okay, you guys. I can't find it.
Going all the way back. He's a direct send it. Logged. About all this stuff. And she says, he goes, well, okay, Dave, you can come in and sit next to her. So I sat there quiet for about an hour. Every time he asks for something, she says to me, should I give him the paperwork? I says, yes, fully cooperate. Well, the IRS was real pleased the fact that I was giving her moral support, helping the IRS get all the paperwork filed. He wrote out all the forms from 2004, 5, and 6, 3 years. After the paperwork was all filled out, 8 pages, she owed $38,000 in back taxes. So she then signs the forms, slides them across the table, and I says to the IRS agent, I says, mind if I ask a question? Are you an attorney? I says, I thought we discussed that already. I says, that's a question. If she committed false and misleading information to you, can you prosecute her? As you have a recorder here and you recorded it for the IRS, can you prosecute her for perjury? He says, yes, we can. You know, you want her to sign right here, is that correct? Under penalty of perjury? You know that under is an adverb, means no contract. Of penalty, which is a verb, of is an adverb, making perjury a verb. You want to show me the verb perjury and penalty in the dictionary? Isn't that false and misleading information? Isn't that perjury by your own confession? And then I syntax the next 35 minutes, all 8 pages. As I identify, I says, oh, by the way, I'm the federal judge of the United States, chief federal judge, and you just committed 47 felonies. Grabs up all the paperwork. I'll be back. Takes off. About a minute goes by, and all of a sudden they're screaming in the back room. Yell, 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 yell. This goes on for like 5 minutes. Then a supervisor in Miami, IRS, sticks his head out. Oh, Judge Miller, you're here. Well, yeah, I've got a 3x5 picture of me hanging on the wall in there, so pops his head back in, and more screaming goes back in. It's quiet for about 2 minutes, and about 12 minutes goes past, and he's walking out. Madam, here's your form. All your taxes have been canceled. You have 0 balance. You're free to go. Have a nice day. She bought me an espresso.
Oh, yes.
0 balance. You're free to go. Have a nice day. She bought me an espresso.
I love that.
Tastes like mud. So, you say, I do a lot of stuff for fun. And anybody, I don't care. I haven't seen anybody that had a problem from any form of anything in the books of law that they qualify. That I can't handle. I do not do murder. I do not do bank robbery. I do not do drug dealers. I do not do rape cases. I do not do public safety violations. You drive 40 miles over the speed limit. I'll come in court because I'm not going to defend you. I'm not going to say anything to assist you. That's reckless and endangerment of public safety. I don't touch any of those cases. I have an agreement with the government not to publish lawsuits on the internet because criminals would use them for the wrong purpose. And it, for that fact, will go anywhere. If you do have a case with me, I respect that you will treat it with respect. If I am on your case, I will sign and fingerprint or autograph and fingerprint your cases. I will be there.
Negative 433.
In the event you have a judge that will sign that document and be a federal judge, or one comes out of Washington of the 300 judges that are assigned to work with me out of Washington in your jurisdiction and orders me to court by subpoena, I will show up and I will testify and do a presentation in front of a grand jury. I was ordered to Michigan. after 7 attempts to go in front of a grand jury, I finally made it in front of a grand jury. And when I testified, we were probably 2 hours on the witness stand in front of the grand jury.
Negative 20.
And the Attorney General, who was cross-examining me, every single question he asked, I syntaxed and made an ass out of him. I mean, the guy was really beating up on me on the witness stand. And then finally, I was on the witness stand, and he made a comment to the judge. I'm going, "You're out of order." Judge said, "Judge Miller, there's only one judge in the courtroom, and it's my courtroom, and I'm the judge." I'm going, "Oh, yes, okay." And then the judge perks up and says, "You're out of order." And then the judge says to me, "Do you have a passport?" I said, "Sure, I got a passport, driver's license, insurance cards, MasterCard, Visa, bank cards, and a checking account." I said, "I got a mortgage, carry insurance." He goes, "I thought you were sovereign." "Well, I am sovereign. I'm allowed 2 identities." He goes, "Yeah, that's true. You are allowed 2 identities." Let's tell you what, Judge. Why don't we cut to the chase here? In front of the grand jury, he says, "Here's my passport. You're a federal judge. Why don't you go in the back room and contact the U.S. Department of Immigration and Customs and run my passport?" I says, "It's going to take you about a half an hour to go through it. It's about 38 pages long." Because there's only a couple pages here. I says, "Run my passport." I says, "Then you're going to find out who's sitting in your courtroom." So he's gone for 35 minutes. He comes back and he says, "Judge Miller," he says, I apologize. He says, here's your documents back." Very impressive. He goes, "Never seen anything like that before." 38 pages long it was. It's like you said. And he goes, he says, "Davis," he says, "he's just made an ass out of you. We have no more questions for you. Judge Miller, you're free to go." Yeah. When's the court date? October 30th? I am going to be, I don't know, maybe I could make it. I got to be in Court of Claims in Washington, D.C. It's on the way. On the 5th, that's a Monday. I think you got Friday. Thursday or Friday? Washington's always fun around election time. Tuesday, that's a whole week. Well, I'm on your case. I can sit in court with you and, argue the syntax. That's not a problem. Probably be a lot of fun. I'm free those days. So. Yeah, I think we'll have an audience. They usually is standing room only when I show up. In Wisconsin, when I go to court, people come from 500 miles around to just watch the traffic cases. You can't even get in the courtroom. Judge walks out in the court in the hallway and he says, "Miller, come on outside here with the DA. We're going to do it outside in front of here where there's no witnesses." And the DA's running down the hall. "He won't talk to me. He won't talk to me." Except in quantum grammar. He won't. So, well, let me know what your dates are and the times. Okay. It's only about 3 hours from now. Yeah. Except that's the wrong flag. Yeah. That's a 1x2 flag for one thing. Your blue field is 40-60. And from here I can see it's a 50-50. You can download one off my internet site. No, you didn't. Your computer shrunk it or did something, but that's not a print. Yeah, change the size of it. It's 1 to 1.9. The one on my business card is correct. Oh, okay. Well, no, they're in my. I had them in my bag at the room. So. Well, when you guys deal with MasterCard, every time you sign your MasterCard, you're making a promise to pay. I mean, you took the money. Here's a little trick that you don't know about. when you guys use MasterCard, it's earned income. If you discharge it in bankruptcy, the government will wait 3 years and come back and sue you for failure to pay your state, federal, and Social Security taxes on the earned income you discharged in bankruptcy, and sue you for 125% from the IRS, which you can't discharge. Do you think you were in trouble before you couldn't pay your bills? Now you're in trouble with the IRS. Will sell your home, cars, and anything else you own, and they'll come after you from that location. And you can't file bankruptcy against the IRS claims, especially with that position. The sin tax works except when you file bankruptcy, you are saying, what's in my hand? Nothing. You filed bankruptcy against nothing. Why do you file bankruptcy? You filed bankruptcy because you want to discharge a fact. Bankruptcy takes the nothing and makes it into a fact. Therefore, the fact is taxable. How do you think England captured New Zealand, Australia, India? Is because England figured out way back in the 13th century that if you file bankruptcy against an invasive people, take the originals. They don't speak or read English. They only have picture writing. So, and their pictures articulate their land, their treaties, their boundaries, and there's 3,450 originating tribes in Australia. But they got 10,000 gold mines. The country is a virtual mine of gold, silver, lithium, titanium, cobalt. I mean, it's just mineral rich. Radiation, radium for plutonium. All of our nuclear submarines are refueled in the northern part of Australia as they go around the world. Because there are treaties with them. Australia is traded on the New York Stock Exchange as a corporate entity. Just so you want to know about that. The people England went into Australia, genocided up until 1957. They had a bounty on originating people that if you kill them, you got paid a bounty. Imagine that. England was actually hunting human beings like they do deer and putting a bounty on them. Just like the movie with Tom Selleck. Quigley Down Under. Good movie. The Aborigines were genocided. Then they went ahead and they stole their land. They sold it to the unsuspecting settlers from around the world as they came in as new people. Then as soon as the people bought the land, the government came in and filed bankruptcy on the individual, bankrupting them off the land. Then filed a Title 46, Chapter 781 salvage claim under 2000 Corporation Act under false and misleading statements, filed bankruptcy against the people, and through the bankruptcy court legalized the taking of the land because now they're saying the nothing contract of seizure was filed in bankruptcy, giving nothing value, retitling it back into the crown and then selling it to the next unsuspecting buyer, now as only a trustee and a caretaker, leaving the jurisdiction of the government in charge of the land and moving the originating people off who couldn't read and write and defend themselves. When I showed up, I wrote them a new constitution. I gave them international trade agreements. I gave them the ability in quantum grammar to protect themselves against a world of fiction. So they called me the Spirit Walker, because I came in and prosecuted 129 judges and nobody touched me. Anybody else that ever tried something was killed immediately by the government. But the government wouldn't approach me. The government would touch me immediately. World of fiction. So they called me the Spirit Walker, because I came in and prosecuted 129 judges and nobody touched me. Anybody else that ever tried something was killed immediately by the government. But the government wouldn't approach me. The government wouldn't touch me. So the Aborigines, my name got shot all the way across Australia in a matter of days, as we got somebody here that's special. And that's the reason why when I came to Hawaii, same thing. Somebody special showed up and they made me king because I came with a bird. 1848, a prophecy was made that a white man from America would come to Hawaii and set the Hawaiians free. I wrote the apology bill. Bill Clinton signed and apologized to sealing the Hawaiian Islands. Then proved the entire history of the Hawaiian Islands from the international bankruptcy through World War II, and it was the post office that captured the Hawaiian Islands, not the United States court system. Henceforth, giving the Hawaiians now direction by which to prosecute trespassing. And who paid the docking fees for all the buildings in Hawaii for the past 200 years on a sovereign country? Nobody. It's about $64 trillion in back taxes that the Hawaiian people are owed, which they kind of perked up to. Yeah, wow. So then you take all of that and you go down to Australia, you syntax their constitution, null and void. Write a new constitution in quantum grammar, giving the Aborigines original constitution before the English got it, putting them in now control. And then going in and prosecuting the judges where they're running out of the courtroom. They're standing up bowing to me as the chief federal judge of Australia and New Zealand. And the Aborigines are in there watching this. And then having two federal attorneys, two federal barristers, two federal solicitors, and two federal, state attorneys, all stand up, all 8 of them, one right after another. We are in peril, danger to move forward against the Aborigine people. As Judge Miller has explained to us as a chief federal judge here in Hawaii, in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, New South Wales, as to how much criminal activity we have done in closed chambers in the back here in the last 8 hours.
Negative 21.
He can walk the walk, talk the talk, and he explained to us
44.
in detail the operations by which we are to be
9587.
that we don't exist as a government, as a court, or as a people. That we are trespassers.
87, 96,
We hereby vacate our position against this
6.
Aborigine who we want to sue. And that's been 4 years now, and that's a pretty still a pretty
240, 96.
and there's been no activity. And that word went all over Australia. And I've gone to court 129 times. Every time I walk in the courthouse, it's like, Miller's in the building. Everybody's running, locking doors. Don't let him in your courtroom. He walks in here, it's gonna be hell to pay. You know.
I want that guy's abilities.
American Indians got the same thing through their treaties and now have 190 casinos on their properties. And guess what? The white man is losing money and they're buying back their own Indian lands with the white man's money. That's poetic justice. Yes. Don't do bankruptcy. Don't think of how not to pay your bills. Think of how to make money and be more efficient. Learn how.
$755.
And travel. Dollars down the road or 7 minutes.
$804.
Dollars down the road or 7 million. A paper. A paper. I says, we agreed on 8%. He says, well, I'm giving you 10%. I says, I didn't ask anybody for any money. I did my work. That was my contract. That's all I'm contracted for is work. If you guys pick up $1.5 million down the road, or $7 million from the federal government, and you want to do a gift to me after the fact because you have surplus, or you feel you want to give me a gift, that's your business. But I'm not asking you for anything. You had a contract. I fulfilled my contract to you, and that's it. You know, when you got a gift, what is a gift? Okay. Most of you are too young to understand this, but some of you are old enough. Remember the movie I Dream of Jeannie?
Hold on, guys. Sorry.
Huh? You're laughing. You must have watched it. All right. What is a genie? Everybody knows it deals with magic, right? Okay, you have a genie and you have a djinn. Djinn is the grandmaster of genies. He's got all the power. So genie was
Where
a
are
program.
you? And I'm so sorry.
As a astronaut opened up a bottle and let the genie
Can
out.
I sleep?
The genie
Can
fell
I
in love.
dream
She's
tonight?
seen it. The genie
Can
fell in love
somebody
with
at
Tony and did all these crazy things trying to help him. And every time she used her magic to help him, wound up getting in trouble. And the whole
Hold on, guys. Hey, Mom. Were you able to avoid the nest? Huh? What'd you say, Pam?
Everything else first in case I gotta make a run for it.
Yeah, you won't. You can't miss it. About like the size of a quarter or 50-cent piece. The whole.
Yeah, but I'm not going down there again. So I'm gonna do it from the top.
I go around, away from it, and look.
From the top.
No, I know. I just go around and look at it from the side. I look at it from back, way back. So I don't go near it, but you can see it from 2, 3, 4
From
feet.
the tree down towards the backyard, I did this side.
Yeah.
It's half of what I used to do. I'm gonna go from the tree down towards the front. And hope that sucker's on the other side.
Here, let me show you. I gotta look up something, you guys. Hold on. How fast do bees fly? How fast do wasps and hornets fly? How fast do wasps fly? How fast do domestic cats, run? Yeah. Can cats outrun wasps or bees? Yeah, you can outrun them. After you live, you can outrun them. They fly at 67 miles per hour.
TV show was a comedy.
8:21.
Well, along the way, Jeannie goes ahead and she's going to use magic to go ahead and make Tony fall in love with her. One thing about the word love, it has to be free will. And if a genie violates the free will of love, loses her powers.
Get the fuck out of here.
So Jeannie went ahead and played her trump card, and Tony fell in love.
Fucking nigger.
Jeannie's dad shows up again
Shut
and
your
says,
goddamn throat.
"You broke the rules. You got no power." So now she's back to an ordinary woman, living a mortal life, having to learn how to cook and clean and iron and do everything domestically. Well, at the end of the show, the Jen goes ahead and gives Jeannie back her power because she learned her lesson. So then I got to thinking about that. What would any of you do if somebody gave you power to snap your fingers and create things out of thin air? Give you absolute power over all things. What does that mean to you? Will you be responsible for power? Will you be a teacher? Will you acquire wisdom from this here? Or will you go out there and practice mischief? Well, I looked at myself in the mirror one day and I said to myself, will you make a contract with yourself, David, that if you were given the power, absolute power, will you be responsible for that? And I said, yeah, I can do that. But would you do that at the point of death? In other words, if you violate the rules of absolute power, which is the word meek, M-E-E-K, that you will be struck down and you will die without cause. I says, yes, I'll make that contract with you. And what I'm doing is I'm talking to the mirror. So the mirror is a reflection of the opposite. So when the opposite goes through your eye, your eye is putting your brain as the correctness. Correct image appears in front of your brain. So I made a contract with myself and with God that I will be correct if given the power to be correct. Fix it. And what is syntax? Syntax controls all the contracts on planet Earth. Parse, syntax, grammar. And so 7 years later goes by and I die on the operating table. And I'm reborn. And my whole personality is different. My 6-year-old daughter walks up to me and says, "You don't smell like my daddy. You got green eyes now. You don't look like my daddy. My daddy had hazel eyes. You got bright green eyes. You don't look like my daddy. You don't smell like my daddy." My daughter was estranged from me until she turned 16 and then never talked to me again until she was 28. True story. My other children are very close to me. But the point is, I did acquire the math interface on grammar, giving me power on grammar. Grammar controls all contract, and contract controls all topics on planet Earth, all money, everything. So, in what happened was I acquired the power over all things and all languages on planet Earth through the math interface of communications. So I made a contract, and I've always been honorable to that contract, and I was reborn again. So what did I get with the power? I get to have clothes, food, shelter, and travel, and have immunity, which I acquired through my diplomatic position of the United Nations as a sovereign, as a federal judge, but I'm always correct. And everybody walks up to me or goes on the internet and say, you're not a federal judge, you're not part of the United States District Court. Well, a district court judge is not a federal judge. He's a district, demon god of the underworld for trickery in a closed area. That's what it means. I don't do demon stuff, anything. I am 100% mathematically correct in everything I do and everything I say on paper. And I am a federal judge on every document I sign, and that document is the court. And when we go into a scenario, we are correct in that court, and that judge is going to come off the bench, and he's going to sign that document, or he's not the judge in the case, and I will be that federal judge in that court in front of that individual, and I will tell him. And if he thinks he's going to touch me, he's going to have a whole world of court come down all over the world. And he already knows that. That's why they run out of the courtroom. Or they lock the doors. Or I show up in Honolulu, Hawaii last year. And everybody talks about this. I was ordered to go to court and testify. I went to court, and it was announced that all the courts in Hawaii and all the schools were closed because of the high wind alert. They were afraid the school buses were going to be blown over. That court-appointed lawyers, attorneys, judges were going to be blown off the road because of the high wind alert. On that day, we couldn't knock a candle out with the wind. But I went to court with a whole parade of kapunas behind me. We got to the court, and the sheriff was standing going like, court's closed. Friday. Court holiday. There's nothing on the books for that. All the schools are closed, too. The whole state of Hawaii is declared a holiday today because of the high wind alert. All over the news, broadcasted all over the world. It's called Pay It Forward. They made a movie. No contract is a gift, is what it means. In other words, you don't have a contract to give anybody anything, but you look at the value of the situation. It's your own personal judgment to either participate or not participate. In order for evil to flourish, good people must do nothing. If you see it wrong and you intervene and you correct the situation, maybe it requires a financial gift to stop and correct the wrong. Give a person food, money, or hope. Educate an individual with certain points of information. That then becomes a gift. Knowledge is the most important thing on planet Earth. If I take a little slip of paper a half-inch long, a half-inch wide, and 2 inches long, what's it worth to you?
0098 1.
Throw it in garbage. Then I write the 6 winning numbers to lottery tonight at 8 o'clock, which is worth $300 million. Now what's that little slip of paper worth? It's called points of information. Aflac. Paycheck. He knew when he went back and changed time, the company wouldn't exist to pay him his paycheck. So what did he do? He knew what the 6 winning lottery ticket numbers were going to be when he came back. So he wrote them down and put them away 6 days earlier. So when he got there, he'd have a paycheck for $15 million. kind of a cute ending to a great story. Point is, information is the most powerful thing in the world. If you study and you become proficient and you acquire the gift of syntax, you will know how to answer the questions that save people's lives and make a difference. I do it all the time. I do it as a parlor trick. Maybe 1 out of every 20 people actually pay me to do my job. The rest of them, you ask me a question, I just pop it off to you, have a tape recorder, and I'll give you all the answers you want as fast as you can, that recorder can record. Because if you try to write stuff down, I'm not going to repeat myself. You want to get into conversation with me, you better have a tape recorder running, because you're not going to believe what you hear in the next 5 minutes, because it'll take you a month of research to pull it out of the dictionary. Those that know me, those that have done business with me, know that once you get into bed with me, I take care of you. I answer your questions. I'm on the phone, available from 3 a.m. in the morning, all the way from 7 a.m. in the morning till 3 a.m. in the morning. 20 hours a day, I'm there available 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How many judges do you know you can call at 2 a.m. in the morning that's going to answer the phone and give you an answer to a problem? I'm there. I do it all the time. But only the people that are supposed to be there and talk to me get through on the phone. Look at all the millions of people, billions of people I have on my website, and yet only the people that are supposed to call me with important questions that are under contract with me are the ones that get through. Everybody else doesn't know how to do it. Yes, question? Oh. Oh yeah, I'll be on Skype and 2 phones at the same time while I'm day trading and writing a syntax. I can use my right brain, mathematics, doing numbers and syntax and papers at one, doing 300 words, about 30 minutes, so about 600 words an hour. I'll do syntax while watching a movie. Well, yeah, other movies, if I've seen a movie once, like Gone with the Wind, I'll just put it on high speed and watch a 3.5-hour movie in 6 minutes. Or for entertainment, I'll walk through a video store and use 1 second on each title and go like, I know all the plots, I know all the actors, I know the whole thing, and bang, 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 watch 20,000 movies an hour just by reviewing my mind as to what I've seen in my life at 63 years. So I grew up, I was 18 years old before I had my first
2875, 141, 2875.
So I grew up with a crystal radio that I built myself.
732.
I had to learn how to read books, use a library and library card catalogs.
1599.
I lived in the library 40 hours a week, 7 days a week. And I did that from the age of 8 to 18. So I was an information junkie. Lived in the library. I had to learn how to read books, use a library and library card catalogs. I lived in the library 40 hours a week, 7 days a week. And I did that from the age of 8 to 18. So I was an information junkie, studied to be a doctor at the age of 12, and at 18 I put it all away and became a welder. Metallurgy, engineering, heat treating, all the things that build the world, because I was a builder. Built my own homes, built my own car, built my own boats, built 3 cars, as a matter of fact, 3 Corvettes. I drive the only Lexan plastic bulletproof Corvette in the United States. It does 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, weighs 2,400 pounds, and it's 380 horsepower. It'll blow anything off the line outside of a Cobra, which does 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. But if I want to put a turbocharger on it, I'd probably get it down to 3 seconds without too much trouble. I built one with lock positive traction. Took a universal part and welded it together with super missile weld so that both tires sped at the same time. And that was a quick little machine. That only weighed 2,200 pounds at 380 horsepower. That was dangerous, so I'll get rid of it. So I'm to a guy that does stock car racing. Yeah. They're on the forms. I'll give you. Sorry. Yes.
Hold on, guys.
Okay, you guys, I'm back. 2875, 1599. 75. Hold on.
Why doesn't have any patent with the United States government? Is that what you're asking?
No, he just wanted to know. He wanted to be on the video so when he comes back.
The United States government never had the correct parsing syntax grammar to invade the Hawaiian Islands. Pearl Harbor was gifted in 1848 to the United States Postal Service by King Kamehameha I. That was it. Everything else in 1893 was an issue of coal, C-O-A-L. The Germans, the French, and the Portuguese all planned to take over the Hawaiian Islands 6 months after the takeover of the United States taking over Hawaii. They just beat them to the punch because the population stood by 1893 at probably 60,000 Hawaiians versus 3 million invaders back then. So, questions? Yes, Ron, I told you a story about Helm. That already was signed way back 6 years ago, 7 years ago. That's why there hasn't been any commotion there. They both are familiar. Yeah, that was already done in quantum 6, 7 years ago. Even though the people are still making noise, those are satellite groups. The people who originally signed that have not been fighting with each other because of the words. But then there's been the people who are involved with the original treaties are senior citizens, bad health, some have died. So the new people coming in are not familiar with the new terminologies, and so therefore they're drifting back into fiction, whereas they had quantum before.
Negative
And if you
2087.
don't take time to study, you're not going to be proficient. So every generation, just like ambassadors at the UN are traded off every two years. They were on a 6-year ambassadorship, and every 2 years, 1/3 of all the ambassadors in the UN are changed out. So from the time I got my ambassadorship in 1999, under sovereignty, I'm still hold that position as because there's only 2 of us, Russell and I. All the rest of the people in fiction are changed out, but I have a lifetime appointment as a director of a sovereign country called Quantum Grammar. So that's where that stands. Yes. Well, if you don't have a social security number, it's pretty tough to get a driver's license or a passport. And because the world of fiction, you can travel anywhere you want, except the corporation of airlines, trains, buses, and automobiles are all controlled by Social Security. In other words, you have to have that number to move between point A and point B. As long as you stand still, nobody's going to bother you. It's when you want to go across state lines or federal, international lines, they want to have those points of information. Otherwise, I would recommend you send your identity, do a claim it to life, mail it to yourself, registered mail. That way you've got a quantum registered mail with the post office. Use that as your identity to go and mail yourself anywhere you want to go, registered mail. And then send yourself, put a post-it like I did Russell. My business partner, Russell Gould, is the only person in the history of the post office to be mailed from the United States out of Pennsylvania through Montreal, Canada, into Paris, France, and back to the United States to Philadelphia, registered mail, by me as the postmaster, transporting him as registered mail to there and back in quantum language. They had no remedy for quantum language. Once we completed that task, all the post offices worldwide passed a law that said you must have 3 forms of identity: a ticket, 2 forms of state ID, which is a passport and driver's license, and a birth certificate certifying your location. Changed all the laws on the planet. If you tried to do it a second time, it was not successful. The U.S. Department of Immigrations and Customs said, yes, you can go. We have no way to stop you. But the insurance company that controlled the United Airlines flight says, no, we will not insure you to get on our plane. You're not a dead person. Only dead people can fly on our airplane. In case it crashes, there's no liability. You must be a numb that you're a dead person on a plane. That's why all plane crashes never have survivors. They don't want people surviving. Otherwise, they'd sue you out of existence for secrets and survivors. They don't want people surviving. Otherwise, they'd sue you out of existence for secrets. And a lot of stuff was lost languages. Well, because of our syntaxing capacity, we were able to break the codes on these and put all the correct language in. Syntaxing, we had cardinals and bishops for 3 days follow us around as we told them all the secrets. After that exercise was done, we then wrote an international bank treaty for Cardinal Sedana, and we were awarded Key Masters as the first persons to ever write a quantum treaty with the Vatican. When we came back, we drove 2,000 miles through Europe. We then went from there to Bern, Switzerland, and met with the Universal Postal Union. From there, we went to Zurich and met with the German Bank of Germany. And from there, we went back to Paris. I have a passport, so I was allowed to fly out. Russell was mailed there, registered mail. So the Postmaster General of the Universal Postal Union in Bern, Switzerland, and the Postmaster General for the United States in Europe both had to vouch for Russell. But that still wasn't enough to get him through security. They wanted a passport. When the head of the Charles de Gaulle Airport heard that we were there as key masters, he came down to interview us. The man who was in charge of the Charles de Gaulle Airport is the great-great-great-grandson of the Joan of Arc, who was a key master with the Vatican. Going all the way back, he's a direct descendant. When he heard that there was 2 key masters from the Vatican at his airport, he shut down the airport, held 300 people in a DC-10 for 3.5 hours as he interviewed us for 3 hours, and did syntaxing exercises with us for 3 hours about Vatican secrets using a Bible. After which time he gave us red carpet VIP treatment through security onto the plane. We flew back and were accepted. We had to be debriefed by the post office when we landed in Philadelphia, but everything went smooth. Got him there, got him back. All postmasters in the world were notified that Russell was mailed to Europe and back registered mail successfully. As the only person to ever do that. To this day, the post office still tells tales of the stunts that we have pulled and the treaties we have. I am also a muster master for the Pentagon with the Secretary of Defense.
575, 3982. 82, 130.
Well, first off, you don't have
39.
Manly Hall's The Secret of All Ages. There are only 5 copies on the planet.
130.
Number 2, you don't have a deluxe
30.
copy, which have been
19,
syntaxed.
354, 19.
There's only one in existence, and I own it. So therefore, the secrets that exist are so complex. If you started reading right now on a 6-page book, 6,000 pages long,
35, 479.
this wide, and this tall, and this thick, it would take you several years to get through that. And you would also have a syntax background to understand what it says. So therefore, the secrets that exist are so complex. If you started reading right now on a 6-page book, 6,000 pages long, this wide, on a 6-page book, 6,000 pages long. If you started reading right now on a 6-page book, exist are so complex. If you started reading right now on a 6-page book, 6,000 pages long, this wide and this tall and this thick, it would take you several years to get through that. And you would also have a syntax background to understand what it says. Russell and I both do. And we concur on different things. I'm 25 years older than Russell, by the way. Go ahead.
G17.
Enoch. I know what Enoch means, yes. No, there's not a book of Enoch. It's a tale about a UFO. That's what Enoch means. It's a UFO tale. They made a movie called Enoch if you want to watch it. Yes. Yeah, it's on page 2. Right there, page 3 in the book. There's also the same ones on the internet. Just fill it out, put your picture on it, have your people autograph and fingerprint it, and you're done. So it's called a claim of the life. Claim of the live life. What it means is that you have knowledge of what a prepositional phrase is, how to certify what a fact is. You've identified yourself, your mother, your father, and 2 other people with claims of a life have identified you to be a fact. That's all it means. You don't file a claim of a life written with the correct parse syntax grammar with the recorder's office or with the fiction government. Why would you file a fact with a fiction? It's an oxymoron. It's only for you to use. If you want to attach it to a federal lawsuit, and if you want to go to The Hague and file a claim of the life, take a lawsuit into the Hague, showing that I'm a live person been violated under a genocide or apartheid situation, then they will accept your paperwork. They will not accept any paperwork from an individual who does not have a claim of the life. People, you cannot file lawsuits at The Hague. The Hague is a branch of the United Nations. You must be a United Nations member who is a branch of the life. People, you cannot file lawsuits at The Hague. The Hague is a branch of the United Nations. You must be a United Nations member who has paid your dues of $1.6 million a year, and you must be a country. Private citizens are not allowed to bring cases. The Blood Diamond case took 14 years to get to court. 235,000 people died under the Blood Diamond Civil War. And that's why the Blood Diamond movie was made. The case took 14 years to get to court. 235,000 people died under the Blood Diamond Civil War. And that's why the Blood Diamond movie was made. For those who haven't seen it, yeah. Right.
Hold on.
7:30. For an hour? Oh. We're almost done. That's all. Just answering some questions and you guys can get out of here. I'm the guy standing up for 8 hours. Yes? Tim Turner's under arrest. He was arrested a couple days ago, by the way. He's in jail right now. Yes, really. Tim Turner, means no public. A no public document written in adverb verb is nonsense. So he's trying to promote a negative condition of state in the world of quantum. Therefore, the U.S. Attorney's Office, or the federal attorneys, are now using my quantum technology to arrest any organization in fiction anywhere in the United States. They would take money or mislead American citizens. They're going to shut down the whole thing. In May 1993, I went on the radio to do my first quantum radio show. In 6 weeks, 2,800 organizations in the United States were put out of business. There was only 10 first quantum. In May 1993, I went on the radio to do my first quantum radio show. In 6 weeks, 2,800 organizations in the United States were put out of business. There's only 10 organizations left standing. Today, there's only, I don't know, maybe less than a dozen that actually are still in existence. Otherwise, my technology has completely rolled across the planet, and anybody attempting to start anything up, do anything with IRS, or anything, redemption, straw man, UCC, acceptance for value, all nonsense, all being arrested under false misleading statements. So, this is the only program that's replacing the entire planet. Question? What? Fred and Anita. Fred and Nina? They'll probably be arrested shortly for false misleading statements.
Hey, Mom. Hold on.
I'm serious. I don't know any statements. I'm serious. I don't know anything about them, but if you show me, if you got a website, something I can look at, a piece of paper that they've written, if it ain't in quantum, or if it isn't in quantum, I should say, it'll be nixed like that. It's copyrighted by England. It's private property.
No, gotta go.
Oh, that side of the thing.
Yeah, it's between the tree and them down by the stairs. I didn't realize it was one in, all in one, and he got it, didn't tell me that. So what he seemed to do was freaking yard all the time.
He probably assumed he would see it in the way, which I would still make sure. Yeah, I would make sure. Shut up, Jack. Hold on, y'all.
Lawyers and attorneys are work in a foreign vessel in dry dock. The foreign vessel in dry dock of the courthouse is the same in all 250 countries using the same UCC. Only in the courthouse. Only by judges and attorneys and lawyers. The vessel in dry dock of the courthouse is the same in all 250 countries using the same UCC. Only in the courthouse. Only by judges and attorneys and lawyers. It does not apply to the civilian population anywhere on the planet. No, it's nonsense. It's all written in adverb word means nothing. Right. Anytime you look up all the words that have a prefix or a suffix, they are in void, a violation of now time. If you're not in now time and you're not correct mathematically, you're not correct. Period. Yes.
I was just going to ask, as we go along and this technology gets revealed, we'll probably be totally secret minded on that on computing.
Well, I have 50 stars on my flag dealing with the 50 tricks and traps and procedures of correct grammar. They don't represent conditions of the states. They represent the conditions of operations. And so it's the operations that I've been bringing out and teaching to the people. Every time the government goes out and they cook up a brand new plan to think they're going to trump me, I just go ahead and pull another trump card out of my thing and I trump them. I've shut the United States federal government down 23 times, the entire government, courthouses, legislation, the Senate, everybody. So I'm a world icon. Courthouses, legislation, the Senate, everybody. So I'm a world icon. The whole world knows my name. I'm probably bigger than when I went to Australia. The Immigration and Customs said, "You're bigger than the president of Australia. You got like 4 times more people on your website than he does." He says, "Who are you? What do you do in our country?" And so I pulled out all my gambling cards and I says, "I'm here to play gamble in your next hold'em tournament." And I pulled out my cash and I says, "I have the cash to buy into the tournament. I like to gamble. It's part of my entertainment." I have no adrenaline, you know. I mean, it's got to have something to give me a little kind of buzz. Doing it to judges isn't buzzing me. Yes, that was at Devil's Lake, Wisconsin. In other words, I'm a rock climber. I've climbed Devil's Tower already in Wyoming. That's a 1,200-foot face. It's as smooth as this wall here. There's little tiny cracks going all the way up to the top. And get up before sun up, and you start climbing up that thing, and you get up to the top and sign your name, and you come back down on the backside. And or you rappel down the face. When I was climbing on Devil's Lake, it was 95 degrees out. I was on a cliff about 102 feet tall at Red Rock. And it's a smooth face. It's an inverted climb. It means you hang a rope off the top, it hangs 6 feet off the bottom, so you're actually negative climbing all the way up. You slip, you fall, you got your rope. Well, I was 10 feet from the top. And where my carabiner was tied off was 10 feet below from the guy who put it up on top. He had climbed down, but I was out of location. I went up the wrong crack. So here I am in a wrong location, and I had to disconnect. So now I'm on a 90-foot cliff after an hour climb, 10 feet from the top, and it's all smooth. All I got is a 3-inch crack in front of me. So I had to put my fist inside the crack and tighten it so hard that I could do a one-arm pull-up and do that hand over hand for 10 feet to get over the top. Otherwise, fall to my death. There was no way up, no way down except to go over the top. The rock doesn't care if you die. So you're there, and you have one responsibility. You either put away your pain, you put away your stupidity, and you tough it out. You get over the top. You pull yourself out of the situation. And when you get done with that, and you survive, everything else is nonsense. And that's what it means to do something. Now, I've taught all my children, all 6 of them are rock climbers. My son and my daughter used to be teachers of rock climbing at Devil's Lake, Wisconsin. My son, Mark, he was climbing one day, and he had been instructing for 3 years.
Oh.
And we were up at Red Rock,
Remember
and
this
he had tied all the ropes off. I mean, he had done everything. And he was so busy doing what he was doing, he didn't pay attention. Put his carabiner on all nice, his harness, tied his knots off, and then he flew his foot off backwards to rappel down. Except the pile of rope was still 10 feet in front of him. Around the base of the tree, sitting there in one neat pile, and I was about 12 feet away, and I was tying my shoe, and I looked at him, and I looked at the rope as he swung his foot out, and he was already past the point of return, which means he was going to fall 90 feet to his death. And from a squat position, I sprung.
I think this is the island. You know what? Hold on a second. I can guarantee. 1970. This is a nice island though. But is this snow?
Run like a frog. He caught the end of the rope and he hit a 45-degree top. He pulled himself back on, sat there and shook and cried for 20 minutes, realizing that he had just died and got his life back. And me, I caught that rope with both hands, and you could see the marks in my hands squeezing. There are relevance in time, just like me dropping the bullet and avoiding things. There are some things that aren't supposed to happen. There are some things that have to happen. And after that, he was the safest climber, does a triple everything. Nobody touches a rope that he touches. He doesn't trust anybody or anything, but he is triple secure in everything he does now. At 18, he's now 38 years old, 20 years later. 8 years ago, he caught the edge of his foot on a roofing nail and fell 12 feet onto concrete off the roof. Crushed his left foot. There's now titanium and crushed his left wrist, which has pins in it. And so he still roofs, but he wears a harness when he's up on the roof. And he's super, super careful. That was the second time he was careless. So he pays very close attention now, but he's in a lot of pain. The bones change, titanium doesn't. So, any questions? Yes.
No, I don't think this was it. Hold on.
All right, I'll explain what that means. The judge says, I swear to support the Constitution of the United States. Correct? What does the word United States mean? United means no citizen, condition of state. He supports the Constitution of the piece of paper that is in front of him between two or more people. As there are two people that are known to their names on a piece of paper. That piece of paper, which is the lawsuit, yours is traffic, his is divorce, yours is speeding. Doesn't matter what you're there for. Misconduct. Everybody's in court for something. You want to collect rents. Point is, every piece of paper in court is a different constitution of two or more people between him and the person in front of them asking for something. That's what it means. The word constitution means contract. It has nothing to do with Washington.
Hold on, guys. I'm trying to find.
No, real simple. Mr. Police Officer, will you please take the witness stand? Takes the witness stand. Takes the oath of office. Hold it up. Is this your oath of office? Yes, it is. Did you write that? And he's going to say, no, that was presented to me. Do you know what the word syntax means? He's going to go, well, no, I don't. It says you signed a document, but you don't know what grammar means. You know what the word grammar means? You know what the word parse means? Do you know what the word syntax means? The answer is yes to all three of those. Then you're saying, then you understand how to syntax this document, correct? He's going to say, no, I don't. So you don't know what you're signing, which means you don't have an oath of office with knowledge. It says you're saying one thing here, but you're just testified because you don't know what you're doing. Your Honor, this man has just identified the fact that he doesn't have an oath of office. Now let's say it says, did you go to college? And yes, I did. I went 4 years of criminology, took college in criminology. Did you study English in college? Yes, I did. Did you study English in high school? Yes, I did. All right, do you know what the word syntax means? Yes, I do. You understand what the word grammar means? Yes, I do. You understand what parse means? It's a French word. If you don't, I'll explain it means parts of a word. Okay, that's fair. You can give me a hint. So now you understand parse, syntax, grammar.
Where's the fucking... Yeah, I think this one's it.
Is that correct? Goes, yes, it is. So now you understand parse, syntax, grammar. Is that correct? Goes, yes, it is. Did you write this? And you say, well, it's an oath that I signed. Again, do you understand what it means? You're going to say, well, yes, I do. Then if you understand what this means, did you modify your facts with adverbs and adjectives? Did you change the meaning of the syntax on this document by putting adverbs and adjectives in front of the facts? What's he going to say? Is that your autograph? Yes. He's going to have to say yes. He understands that he modified. Under false and misleading statements, fictitious conveyance of language, and deprivation of rights under coloring of law, you just confessed to 3 felonies, and you signed it. Now, while engaged in criminal activity under Title 42, 1988, states responsible for all fees in this case. Your Honor, this man asked me for $525 fine here. The district attorney is a co-conspiracy with this here. It's two of them work together to ask me for a $525 fine. I'm invoking the Clayton Act for a 4 times damages. I want to check for $2,200 right now. This man just confessed to treason in front of me. And the state pays all fees. Now you cut me a check because I have a criminal confession by a police officer. If the DA wants to prosecute, yes, but then the DA was party to it, so therefore it's a co-conspiracy. So he's guilty of 22 and he's guilty of 22. And the state's going to go, I'm going to vacate this case right now because I ain't paying no bills. Exactly. Which says nothing. Once you, and judges. Well, not the judges, on the other hand, are not in the courtroom. They're on a different plane. You know, when I went through a divorce, the lawyer asked me for $1,700
This is
worth
the
of
one. This is the one
attorney
right here.
fees for fighting for my
Yeah.
children. Says,
Now
hey,
we gotta
Mr.
check.
Attorney, take the
I
witness
love
stand.
this one.
Oh, I don't have to take the witness stand. Client attorney privileges. I didn't care about your client. I didn't ask you a question for that. I said, take the witness stand. You asked me for money. That's maritime law of commerce. You have to testify under maritime law of commerce. Judge Wasilewski goes, he's right. It's maritime law of commerce. You asked him for money. You got to take the witness stand and testify. Well, his 8 business partners that belonged to his law firm all were sitting in the courtroom, all in a nice row next to each other, to watch him take down David Miller and make him pay a fine, make him pay attorney fees. I asked him the same questions. Did you go to law school? How long have you been a lawyer? And his answer to each one of them, do I have to answer it? The judge says, of course you do. If you're not a member of the bar, you're going to get kicked out of here. If you didn't go to law school, you're applying imposter. You understand syntax? He goes, yes. Do you understand grammar? Yes. Is this your autograph? Yes. Did you write this document? Yes. Did you ask me for money? Yes. Did you modify your facts? Not your nouns, because they're no-nos. Did you modify your facts with adverbs and adjectives? Well, yes, I did. And what did they do? They modified. Therefore, you changed. And because you intentionally changed, is there any closure on this document for false, misleading information, for modification of the facts into verbs? Well, no. Well, by your own confession, you modified grammar under false, misleading statements, fictitious conveyance of grammar, and deprivation of rights under
Right
color
here, I
of law.
remember. I
You
missed
tried to
this one.
extort money from me under mail fraud, Title 18, Section 1341. That's $1 million fine and 30 years in prison. You feel lucky today? Judge goes, can he do that to me? Wasilewski is laughing. He had to stop himself from laughing. He was laughing so hard when I downloaded it out. He says, he's already done it to you. You just confessed the 4 felonies. You will write him a check right now for $6,400, or I'm going to put you in prison. And he did, pull out his checkbook. His boss stands up and goes across the courtroom. You're fired! I'm not paying that bill! And ever since that day, there has never been an attorney take the witness stand in my presence. They won't even let me in the courtroom. No. Aren't you a vessel in the sea of space called Earth? That's maritime. Earth is a vessel in the sea of space, outer space. All things are maritime. All contract law, right. Contract better be correct or you're going to get nailed for false, misleading information. UCC is copyrighted. It's not allowed to be used unless you're under contract in a foreign venue. Foreign venue would be a spaceship landed on planet Earth from another planet. Declared the fact that they are a foreign planet, a foreign spaceship in dry dock under law of the flag, moi, which is fiction, and advertising fiction. Therefore, when you walk in there with no paperwork, you've trespassed on a foreign vessel, and nothing you say matters. Because you're not going to talk to them in correct parse, syntax, grammar. And they don't have to listen to you, because all 8 billion people are foreign to each other, speak Babel, and that's the truth of it all, folks.
Tuesday.
The thing that matters is what you write on paper with a stamp, a flag.
It's Tuesday, Mom.
And the correct mathematical grammar, and you take responsibility for every word, the laws, rules, regulations, and codes on that paper. That your punctuation is in the correct place. Even if you put something, claimant's knowledge, I just took away the hyphen. Now I just wrote 4, 1, 3, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4.
1632.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, comma, 2, 2,
3031.
and 4, 1, 1, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, period, so that would be a 4. No, that would be a 1, 2, because of the period, because it's abbreviated, then all these would come fours. and then that would come before also
There's a lot
1,
of sand.
3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2. Just have all the answers. Judge says, no, all the facts. Judge says, I have all the, he has all the facts. Judge says, oh, you do? He says, well, how is that you have all the facts? He says, you can ask me anything you want. He says, I'm prepared for traffic court today. Judge says, well, actually I don't have time for this today. He says, well, we're going to continue this for 30 days. He says, in 30 days you will come back into this courtroom with all the facts, and you will present your argument, as I'll give you a half a day before this court. So the man walks out and he realizes that, and then the judge, before he walks out of the courtroom, says, I want all of the facts from all over the world about what you know about your traffic citation. He goes, well, that's a really big order, Your Honor. He says, you said the word all. So you said you have all the facts. I want all the facts or I'm going to arrest you for perjury and you're going to spend 30 days in my jail. So he calls him up and says, Dave, he says, I really stuck my foot in my mouth. What do I do? Practice the handstanding. He says, what do you mean practice handstanding? He says, the judge told me to bring all the facts in the court. He says, yeah, practice your handstanding capacity. So he got to be really good. Run around the house all day long on his hands, doing handstands. Got his balance all tricked up. So he calls him back the day before court and he says, all right, David. He says, I practiced my handstanding. I can do a handstand for 20 minutes, walk all over the place. He says, I'm really good at it. Now you're going to tell me the rest of the story as to why I had to do handstands for 30 days? I says, of course. So then he goes into court, walks up in front of the judge. The judge says, I'm here with all the facts, Your Honor. The judge goes, well, I don't see any paperwork. He says, you better show me all the facts right now. So he pops a handstand. He says, my feet are dangling in a sea of space and I brought Earth to the courtroom today. I brought all the facts on planet Earth. As my feet are now in a sea of space. After the courtroom got done laughing, the judge says, that was a trick question, and yes, that's the correct answer. Free to go. You see, sometimes it isn't about syntax or it's about knowing where to look. So, everyone in this room has a really unique gift right now. I'll tell you another little story that is relevant to the gift before I answer the question. Man walks up, Ford, president of Ford Motors, Mr. Ford himself, 1952, holds his annual shareholders meeting. People come from all over the United States, all the Ford dealers. And Mr. Ford is amongst all of his executives, and he's having a conversation. And finally, his youngest executive walks up, 31 years old, graduate, cocky little guy, and walks up to Mr. Ford and says, Mr. Ford, I understand you can answer all questions. He says, yes, I can. He says, okay, I got a question for you. So he asked the question in front of all the people there. Give me a phone. I want the answer to this question. You got 15 seconds. Calls his think tank. 15 seconds later comes back and he says, here's the answer to your question. And he answers it. He says, is that the correct answer? He says, yes, it is. He says, you can't answer all the questions. He says, you had to call somebody else. He says, is that the right answer? And the man says, yeah, that's the right answer. He says, I know where to look. And that's why I know I can answer your question. By the way, you're fired. Being a wise guy. Okay, what did I say that for? I said that because all of you here now have access to me. So therefore, if somebody presents you with a scenario, an argument, a document, anything, trick question, craziness, no matter what you think it is, say, hey, I got Dave's number. Call Dave. Ask me the question. Make sure you got a tape recorder. I will give you the answer. And you won't have to wait no week or so for me to research it. I will give you the answer while you're on the phone immediately. I haven't been defeated in 100,000 questions at 2,500 seminars, so you guys just cook up your best things. I hope I've answered everyone's questions here today and showed you the necessary points of information that are necessary. Yes?
1573.
People that know about and have your phone number from being on the website or the people all over the world. How come you have time to answer? I think you could get 2,000 calls a minute.
I get 200 emails a day. I hope everybody sends me by email because you can write things out and get to think about things when you write them out. And so it gives me an opportunity then to answer them when I'm not on the phone, but between the phones and the emails and the lawsuit writing and my day trading and research. I do have a full mental capacity. I don't watch television because that's just, if I'm going to syntax documents where I actually sit there and write, I'll watch TV because it gets boring when you're doing numbers at 300 words every half hour. So I watch TV because it's all, my right brain does the work while my left brain is entertained watching. Or if I'm talking to you on a phone, I'll be syntaxing at the same time. But I'm always syntaxing. It's just automatic after 12 years, and I don't even think about it.
My question is, how do you have time to answer all these?
I do. I take care of everybody, and I get it all out in record time. Right. People that are doing nonsense don't get through to me. People that are actually legitimate, have a legitimate question for a legitimate reason, and have an emergency do get through to me, and I answer your questions. New people are always going like, you answered your phone. He says, I see how many people you got on your website, the numbers are posted. He goes, how can you possibly get through to me? Well, everybody gets through to me. Since I've been standing here, I've had only 8 phone calls. Kind of disappointed. No emergencies. I know everybody's phone number, what they want to call me about. Where's my form? How do I fill it out? Did I do it right? Same thing, yes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, as you know, my name is David Wynn Miller, but I punctuate my name. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Benjamin Franklin, all punctuated the name same as I did. They were all 34-degree Master Masons. I don't know if there's any Masons in the crowd, but I am a 92nd degree Mason. I know you've been taught that Masonry goes to 33 and 40 degrees for Grand Masters. The reason I'm a 92nd degree Mason is because in 1988 I broke the math interface in all 5,000 languages, proving that language is a linear equation in algebra. This hasn't been done in the 8,500 years of written Mason is because in 1988 I broke the math interface in all 5,000 languages, proving that language equation in algebra.
Hold on, guys.
This hasn't been done in the 8,500 years of written language. When I did so, I was able to unlock the 2/3 of all the words missing from all languages in the world, and I can write any sentence in any language, frontwards and backwards, with the same meaning. Once this was discovered, it completely, 48 hours after I published on the internet, I had 2 Secret Service agents from Washington at my front door going, "Do you realize what you've done? You've just disqualified every treaty, trust, and contract in 8,500 years on planet Earth." I says, "Well," he says, "who did you tell?" I says, "Everyone." I says, "I sent out 100 videos, 20 hours long, including a 100-page report on the entire studies, to all nations of the United Nations and over 100 TV and news agencies around the United States." By doing that, I protected myself, because when you have a secret that is so profound that it would disqualify planet Earth, it would cause you to get shot. And at every seminar, by the end of the seminar, there's always a dozen people that walk up to you and say, "Why are you still walking around?" Well, as Pandora, destroyer of worlds, you might think that that's a bad thing. The word destroyer, D-E means no, and destroy is contract. Of is an adverb which connects to a pronoun in front of it. P-R-O means no, N-O means no, and U-N means no. So the word destroyer is a no, no, no word. Of is an adverb, A-D-V, it's a modifier. Modifiers connect the pronouns in front of it and modify the verb after it. Modification is change, change is motion, motion is action, and action is verb. Therefore, the word world becomes a verb. Do you live in a world of verb, or do you live in a world of a fact? As you all know, the word world is a fact.
I need to
But
find out
because it's
where
a
the dark
destroyer
oak
of
is.
verb, I destroyed the world of verb in all 5,000 languages worldwide on April 6th, 1988. And so with that said, how did this come about? Well, in 1980, I went through a divorce. And in the divorce, Judge Stanley Miller said, "You cannot be a father to your children." And he took away my children. I'm going, "Why would you do that? I've been a good father for 10 years. And he goes, "Because I'm a judge," he says, "and I can take away people's children just because I can." I says, "Well, that's sex discrimination under the 1964 Civil Rights Act for equality." I says, "I'm going to prosecute you." And he says, "You can't prosecute judges." I said, "Beg the difference." I says, "I know what the law is. You swore to support the Constitution of the United States and the laws written by the United States Congress, Senate, and Legislature." I says, "That includes equality." I says, "If I don't have equality, that's discrimination." Pretty simple. So I prosecuted Judge Stanley Miller in 1980, and he was disbarred as a judge. 7 years later, Stanley Miller got reappointed again. 2 weeks later, after he was reappointed, I showed up in his courtroom, had him disbarred again. 4 days later, 7 years later, 1994, got reappointed again. And I showed up in his courtroom 2 weeks after he got reappointed, had him disbarred a third time. 3 years later, he died in 1997. And never served much on the bench. Always was an administrator, but never a judge. As a result of that, when the judge took away my children, that violation, that breaking of my heart, put me on a path. And that path was anger. You don't take away a parent's child. And the pain that caused, pain makes thought, thought makes wisdom, and wisdom grows to maturity. So, as a result of that pain, I started studying. Now, we go through 3 phases in life. You do not know what you do not know. Well, it's like putting your hand in fire. It looks pretty, so you touch it and you get burnt. Well, you know what you don't know about why you got burnt. And I was aware of what I didn't know, so I had to study. And so because I studied, I learned about what the fire was. I learned about what the pain was. And from that, I then had knowledge. And when I had knowledge, I knew what I knew. And then I could become a teacher. In 1975, I became a college professor in Milwaukee. And I was taught engineering and metallurgy I knew that I could become a teacher. In 1975, I became a college professor in Milwaukee, and I was taught engineering and metallurgy, heat treating, and taught engineering and metallurgy. Heat treating and blueprint reading. So metallurgy, heat treating, and I was taught engineering and metallurgy.
Look, fuck over
Then I could become a teacher. In 1975, I became a college professor in Milwaukee, and I was taught engineering and metallurgy, heat treating, and blueprint reading. So I've been a teacher now 30, so 75, so going on 38 years. I hold a professional license for college. I also have 3 PhDs and 535 college credits, 17 full-time years of college. Kind of got stuck in college. I really liked it. Worked third shift nights as a tool and die welder, and I went to school full-time days. I had but to fill in my spare time because I didn't sleep, I went ahead and had a second full-time job. And that was in real estate, teaching underwater welding. I had my own real estate company for 26 years, besides doing law from 1980 to present time, 32 years. I have 80,000 hours of law experience. And I fielded, I've done 2,500 seminars, including over 1,000 TV and radio live performances. I did the programs on 9/11 on national television on what really happened there. There's only a few people in the world that have my background and credentials about what heat treating is, nuclear science, string theories, and quantum physics. I have a 200 IQ. I read 400 words a second in math codes. It's something that's acquired art. You can give me an inch of paper and of documents, and I'll blow through it in about a minute. And I'll be able to tell you exactly about how many mistakes are in it and what to do about it. The program today is going to cover many different aspects. I'm going to go through the parts of speech, which I wrote up here. It took 6 years of my life to discover this. It isn't really what you think it is. And what they teach you in school is not what you actually, is actually what's going on. And this isn't to insult anybody, but all of you have a second grade reading level. And it isn't just you, it's the entire population of the planet was instructed and through TV, radio, newspapers, and magazines to keep you in a second grade reading level, because that way they could harvest the entire population of the planet. There's a few individuals called federal judges and chief federal judges at a state level. They control what's called parsing, syntax, grammar, and the secrets therein. When I broke the code in 1988, I went to the United States Supreme Court. I walked in there in 1989, and I says, I'm here to prosecute William Rehnquist, Chief Supreme Court Justice of the United States Supreme Court. I was arrested for threatening the United States Supreme Court judge and taken into a closed room. Well, when we got down in that room, I had 6 marshals standing shoulder to shoulder surround me, and William Rehnquist came down from up in his chambers to see me, and I says, I have your signed confession for treason against the United States people. I says, I've used parsing syntax grammar against your opinion since you've been in office. He says, okay, guys, you can all leave now. Mr. Miller and I are going to sit in this closed room. You've already frisked him. He has no weapons. He doesn't seem to be of stature that can overpower me. And we're going to have a little discussion. So for the next 2.5 hours, William Rehnquist and I became very good friends. And further than that, until he died and I removed him from office in June of 2005, we were pretty good friends. I taught him syntax, the math interface on grammar, and he taught me all the secrets of the procedures of judges. But a lot of the things he taught me, he was in error of because 2/3 of all the words were missing from the procedures by which he wanted to formulate answers. Now, believe it or not, we are all actors in a play that have been already written. All of you believe that you have a certain amount of choice to make in life. But the fact is, and I will do this later this afternoon when we get into some history programs, that we are on timetables that run on 7-year international, on domestic bankruptcies and 70-year international bankruptcies. These bankruptcies control the planet for the last 6,500 years in all countries. All countries worldwide are controlled by the post office. Not the courts, not the judges, not the kings and queens, but the postmasters of the world run the entire planet, have for 6,700 years. Going all the way back to Pharaoh, henceforth the Masons. Now, a lot of you, we're in this room today. Our room is a closed area, so therefore it's a court. I'm going to show you a dollar bill here, which you're all familiar with, and on the back of the dollar bill, we're in this room today. A room is a closed area, so therefore it's a court. I'm going to show you a dollar bill here, which you're all familiar with, and on the back of the dollar bill you have the eagle, right? Notice the eagle's wings are turned up. You notice the eagle's wings here are turned down. That's because it's a phoenix. This is Vatican rule, banking. And the flag here has yellow fringe on it. And the yellow fringe flag changes the dimensions of the flag. This is a maritime raid for commerce. The fringe changes the description of the flag. It's under Army Regulations 840-10, Chapter 2-6. Allows for fringe to be put on military flags for parades. But anything you put on top of the flag cancels the contract of what a flag is. So even though you think you're looking at a United States flag, United, UN means no, and ITE is citizen. A no citizens condition of state flag. Controlled by Vatican banking. They're all under commerce. Now, who's the Vatican? They're postmasters. They work at Bern, Switzerland through the Universal Postal Union. On the 29th of September 2009, I did a seminar in Auckland, New Zealand. In that seminar, there were 90 Auckland tribal chiefs of the 1,200 tribal chiefs that live in New Zealand. I then made a statement that the post office, since 1800, has never had a correct parsing, syntax, grammar, law, rule, regulation, or code in any language of any people on planet Earth. As a result of that, 72 hours later, the United States Postal Service, which since 2000 has had a quantumized postal treaty with myself and Russell Gould, my business partner. Post office since 1800 has never had a correct parsing, syntax, grammar, law, rule, regulation, or code in any language with any people on planet Earth. As a result of that, 72 hours later, 3 days, the United States Postal Service, which since 2000 has had a quantumized postal treaty with myself and Russell Gould, my business partner. Two of us make corporate. On the 27th of August 1999, I sued the United States of America for the flag of the United States. I filed a new quantumized mathematical patent on the description of the flag of the United States, 1 to 1.9. And they used the correct grammar, called Parsee syntax grammar. As a result of that, on August 12, 1999, I owned the patents to the flag of the United States of America. And on August 13th, all flags had yellow fringe put on it because they had to change the dimension of the flag. Now, I don't know if you remember in 1968 when the astronaut, for those of you that are old enough, and I don't think there's a lot of you here that are old enough, the astronaut stepped off his spacecraft into his footprints on the moon, turned around, looked at Earth, and says, "Oh, look, Earth is a vessel in the sea of space." And that, with that one single sentence, Earth is a vessel in the sea of space, that's maritime. The entire world put yellow fringe on every flag in all 250 countries, in every courtroom, in church, and office, making everything on planet Earth maritime. Maritime is controlled by the DOT, Department of Transportation, which is controlled by the Postal Service worldwide, Bern, Switzerland. Bern, Switzerland was established on the 22nd of October, 1871 in Hawaii. It was the first country as an independent nation to sign an international bankruptcy with Bern, Switzerland for 2 cents to transport cargo anywhere on planet Earth. And as a result of that, within a period of a year, all 250 countries for 2-cent postage stamps signed up to give the post office authorization to transport vessels for a 2-cent postage stamp. Well, as you know, people were thinking of mail. Just send a letter. A letter is a vessel. Well, the word vessel includes cars, trains, planes, automobiles, overland stagecoaches, pony expresses, and human beings. And by doing so, they then captured all commerce on planet Earth by contract for a 2-cent postage stamp. A year later, it went up to a buck a letter.
Woodard Hills?
But they got their foot in the door, and that was all that was necessary.
No.
Somebody left a little tiny article sitting in a newspaper in January 8, 1872, on a microfiche dish in Honolulu, Hawaii, in the Iolani Palace Museum Archives building. Hightower and I went into that building that day, and we wanted to look for a flag of Hawaii. And they said, "We guarantee there is no information in this building from 1869 through 1875. Why would there be anything? So Hawaii's the center of the Pacific. Anything moving from east to west and west to east has to stop at Hawaii to get coal, COAL, for fuel, as everything ran
I did
on
not say
steam back
windswept. Why the fuck are you doing
then.
that
So
shit?
Hawaii then became the center of the entire Pacific Rim.
Wooded.
Wheel. Very, very important location. And by doing so, that started a series of events through the Universal Postal Union to capture the entire planet, throw the entire world into a postal zone. And this little tiny article, as it was put into place, was left there. Nobody thought anything of it. Well, we did find a flag on the newspaper. It had 8 stripes instead of 7. But there was also a little square 3 inches by 4 inches with the obituary. The obituary of the Portuguese Masonic Eye, the French Masonic Eye, the German
fucking cunts. God damn you.
Scale, and the English scale. So now we had ordering all Masons in the Hawaiian Islands to come to Honolulu, Hawaii to pay homage to King Kamehameha V, who died on the 6th of December. I'm telling you a story because it is relevant to the beginning of the takeover of planet Earth. As a result of this, it takes a steamer 3 days to go from Honolulu out to Kona and Hilo and back again. So 3 plus 3 is 6. January 8th and 6th is January 14th. January 14th, all the Masons get together with the post office, Immigrations and Customs, the Supreme Court of Hawaii. Guess what building they're all in? They're all in the same building directly across from the Queen's Palace in Hawaii. Immigrations, Customs, Lodge Number 1 for the Masons,
I guess they don't have
Postmaster
it.
General of Hawaii, all in the same building. And they cut a treaty. The treaty says that there was, in 1848,
It's
a law
what
was
for us, I
passed in
guess.
Hawaii that
Is the new name the wine?
Hawaiians are dead or off the land for 20 years, the land is free for settlement. So they went ahead and the Masons signed this contract to take over the Hawaiian Islands. Now there's a law called the Rescissions Act. It goes all the way back to the Civil War. The Rescissions Act says that no law becomes legal for 3 days. And this 3-day notice, if you ever look at when contracts are signed, even when you all did your mortgages, either bought property or sold property, you couldn't pick up a check in your closing for 3 days. That's because of the Rescissions Act. That's Title 15, Section 1636 and 1639. Now the Rescissions Act then went into effect on the 17th of January, 1872. Put a 20-year moratorium on it. It's January 17th, 1893, when the United States took over the Hawaiian Islands. For those of it know anything about the Hawaiian Islands, take it. Except it wasn't the United States of America that took over the Hawaiian Islands. It was the military. The military was controlled by the post office. It was the United States Postal Service that took over the Hawaiian Islands. Now, as a result of this takeover, the injustice that people were a victim of went out there and sued. Said, "We don't have jurisdiction. You're in the wrong place." So the Hawaiians then went to federal court. They walked into federal court, United States District Court, and the district court said, "You're in the wrong place. We don't have jurisdiction over you. You're a sovereign people." So they went to the United States Supreme Court in Washington, D.C.
Okay, I'm
United
right
States
here.
Supreme Court, Washington, D.C. You're in the wrong place. You sued the wrong people. They're going like, all right, we're being victimized. They stole our land. Who's guilty? So from January 17th, 1893, all the way up until January 6, 2009, nobody knew who was guilty. As a result of that, because I'm a Mason, and I syntax Manly Hall's The Secret of All Nations with Masons throughout the history of this world for 8,500 years. I have the book. There's only 5 copies on planet Earth, and I own one of them. And when I syntax that book is 18 inches tall, 1 foot wide, and 2 inches thick.
Manly Hall's Secret of All Ages. You fucking idiots. Manly Hall's Secret of All Ages. You fucking knickers. Manly Hall's Secret of All Ages.
Manufacturing sustainability and tired of guessing what's wrong with your YouTube videos? Well, vidIQ has the answers. Just connect your YouTube channel, click optimize.
Get the fuck out of here. Bullshit.
The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Written by Manly P. Hall. Narrated by Graham Dunlop and Russ Allen. Preface. Numerous volumes have been written as commentaries upon the secret systems of philosophy existing in the ancient world. But the ageless truths of life, like many of the Earth's greatest thinkers, have usually been clothed in shabby garments. The present work is an attempt to supply a tone worthy of those seers and sages whose thoughts are the substance of its pages. To bring about this coalescence of beauty and truth has proved most costly. but I believe that the result will produce an effect upon the mind of the reader which will more than justify the expenditure. Work upon the text of this volume was begun the first day of January 1926, and has continued almost uninterruptedly for over 2 years.
Go, because I think we still got like 15 minutes until like.
I'm guessing what's wrong with your YouTube
Oh,
video.
get the fuck
Well,
out of here.
vidIQ has.
See,
No, nigger. I'm gonna fucking cut your throat.
ages. To bring about this coalescence of beauty and truth has proved most costly. But I believe that the result will produce an effect upon the mind of the reader which will more than justify the expenditure. Work upon the text of this volume was begun the first day of January 1926, and has continued almost uninterruptedly for over 2 years. The greater part of the research work, however, was carried on prior to the writing of the manuscript. The collection of the reference material was begun in 1921, and 3 years later the plans for the book took definite form. For the sake of clarity, all footnotes were eliminated, the various quotations and references to other authors being embodied in the text in logical order. The bibliography is appended primarily to assist those interested in selecting for future study the most authoritative and important items dealing with philosophy and symbolism. To make readily accessible the abstruse information contained in the book, an elaborate cross-index is included. I make no claim for either the infallibility or the originality of any statement herein contained. I've studied the fragmentary writings of the ancients sufficiently to realize that dogmatic utterances concerning their tenets are worse than foolhardy. Traditionalism is the curse of modern philosophy, particularly that of the European schools. While many of the statements contained in this treatise may appear at first wildly fantastic, I have sincerely endeavored to refrain from haphazard metaphysical speculation, presenting the material as far as possible in the spirit rather than the letter of the original authors. By assuming responsibility only for the mistakes which may appear herein, I hope to escape the accusation of plagiarism which has been directed against nearly every writer on the subject of mystical philosophy. Having no particular ism of my own to promulgate, I've not attempted to twist the original writings to substantiate preconceived notions, nor have I distorted doctrines in any effort to reconcile the irreconcilable differences present in the various systems of religio-philosophic thought. The entire theory of the book is diametrically opposed to the modern method of thinking, for it is concerned with subjects openly ridiculed by the sophists of the 20th century. Its true purpose is to introduce the mind of the reader to a hypothesis of living wholly beyond the pale of materialistic theology, philosophy, or science. The mass of abstruse material between its covers is not susceptible to perfect organization, but so far as possible related topics have been grouped together. Rich as the English language is in media of expression, it is curiously lacking in terms suitable to the conveyance of abstract philosophical premises. A certain intuitive grasp of the subtler meanings concealed within groups of inadequate words is necessary, therefore, to an understanding of the ancient mystery teachings. Although the majority of the items in the bibliography are in my own library, I wish to acknowledge gratefully the assistance rendered by the public libraries of San Francisco and Los Angeles, the libraries of the Scottish Rite in San Francisco and Los Angeles, the libraries of the University of California in Berkeley and Los Angeles, the Mechanics Library in San Francisco, and the Cortona Theosophical Library at Ojai, California. Special recognition for their help is also due to the following persons: Mrs. Max Heimdahl, Mrs. Alice Palmer Henderson, Mr. Ernest Dawson and staff, Mr. John Howell, Mr. Paul Elder, Mr. Philip Watson Hackett, and Mr. John R. Ruxdell. Single books were lent by other persons and organizations to whom thanks are also given. The matter of translation was and organizations to whom thanks are also given. The matter of translation was the greatest single task in the research work incident to the preparation of this volume. The necessary German translations, which required nearly 3 years, were generously undertaken by Mr. Alfred Berry, who declined all remuneration for his labor. The Latin, Italian, French, and Spanish translations were made by Professor Homer P. Earle. The Hebrew text was edited by Rabbi Jacob M. Alco. Miscellaneous short translations and checking also were done by various individuals. The editorial work was under the supervision of Dr. C.B. Rawlinson, through whose able efforts literary order was often brought out of literary chaos. Special recognition is also due to the services rendered by Mr. Robert B. Tummins, of the staff of H.S. Proctor Company, Inc., to whom were assigned the technical difficulties of fitting the text matter into its allotted space. For much of the literary charm of the work, I am also indebted to Mr. M.M. Saxton, to whom the entire manuscript was first dedicated and to whom was also entrusted the preparation of the index. The splendid efforts of Mr. J. Augustus Knapp, the illustrator, have resulted in a series of colored plates which add materially to the beauty and completeness of the work. Q, the printing of the book, was in the hands of Mr. Frederick E. Keast, of H.S. Proctor Company, Inc., whose great personal interest in the volume has been manifested by an untiring effort to improve the quality thereof, through the gracious cooperation of Dr. John Henry Nash, the foremost designer of printing on the American continent. The book appears in a unique and appropriate form, embodying the finest elements of the printer's craft. An increase in the number of plates and also a finer quality of workmanship than was first contemplated have been made possible by Mr. C.E. Benson of the Los Angeles Engraving Company, who entered heart and soul into the production of this volume. The pre-publication sale of this book has been without known precedent in book history. The subscription list for the first edition of 550 copies was entirely closed a year before the manuscript was placed in the printer's hands. The second, or King Solomon edition, consisting of 550 copies, and the third, or Theosophical edition, consisting of 200 copies, were sold before the finished volume was received from the printer. For so ambitious a production, this constitutes a unique achievement. The credit for this extraordinary sales program belongs to Mrs. Maud F. Gallagher.
It's on you, idiot. Look at all that sand, though. Ooh. Oh. Best taiga biomes in Minecraft Bedrock 1.21. Taiga.
Top 5 rarest biomes in Minecraft. Number 5.
Get the fuck out of here.
Truly a lightning in a bottle situation that will drop incredible memories for so many people.
One of the best parts of Minecraft is how active and talented the community is when it comes to creating fan content in the form of mods. In today's video, we're going to go over the top 5 most popular Minecraft mod packs and why they have gotten to the point where they are now. Before we jump in, if you want to play any of these amazing mod packs with your friends, check out bisecthosting.com. With a premium Minecraft server, you can playing Skyblock, and we have had a ton of good experiences with it. With Sky Factory, they added a new resource system built around trees. For a while. With over 290 mods, this
Yes,
mod
I'll be
pack
right back.
really
Like,
does
comment,
great